COVID or no COVID, for Catholics, in-person worship has always remained essential.
Even though God is everywhere, He is present in a surpassing, substantial manner at every Mass.
2 years since the global outbreak of COVID-19, Father Paul Scalia, pastor of St. James in Falls Church, Virginia, believes his parishioners have mostly returned to Sunday Mass.
I think we're back to pre-pandemic levels.
Not far from here in the nation's capital, people from around the country are visiting the Basilica of the National Shrine of the Immaculate Conception. This is the largest Catholic church in North America, and things have returned to normal. No more restrictions, mask or social distancing required. But there was a time not so long ago when restrictions and closures affected all U.S. Catholics.
Definitely during those first few months, back in March of 2020, very, the lowest levels ever, in physical Mass attendance.
Tracking data on Catholics for 2 decades, Dr. Mark Gray with the Center for Applied Research in the Apostolate says before COVID broke out, around a fourth of U.S. Catholics attended Mass regularly on Sundays. Now, he says those numbers are coming back.
And Mass attendance has, at least in our surveys, has returned back to pre-pandemic levels.
But examined regionally, there's more nuance. Through analysis of annual surveys from his group, the Catholic Leadership Institute, CEO Dan Salucci says Sunday attendance remains down in some places by 20 to 35% from 2019 numbers.
I do think it necessitates a real urgent response on the part of our parishes to be developing relationship and reaching out to people.
Salucci says parishes in places with greater COVID restrictions, such as the Northeast and California, may not be seeing a full return at this point, as opposed to areas with fewer restrictions. And relationship building was key.
And so what we saw is that parishes that were really focused more on relationship with their community, that they were calling them during the pandemic, that they were kind of really present in people's lives, those are the parishes that are now back maybe at full capacity prior to the pandemic.
Due to health concerns when COVID first hit, bishops removed something that has always been in effect, a church obligation for Catholics to go to Mass on Sunday. But since last year, some have reinstated the obligation, calling on Catholics to come back. Others have been more cautious. The Archdiocese of Santa Fe says the Sunday Mass obligation remains suspended. There is no obligation to attend Sunday Mass in church until further notice. In Florida, Archbishop Thomas Winsky of Miami says there have been concerns about the elderly and retirees in the state. He says his archdiocese has used precautions to keep people safe.
Nobody had ever reported that they got sick because they went to Mass.
Winsky told EWTN News In Depth that he will designate Palm Sunday as the return of the Sunday obligation in his archdiocese.
I'm doing that Palm Sunday because that gives everybody a few weeks to prepare.
Father Scalia explains that if someone has a legitimate medical reason, they aren't obligated to go to Mass, but reminds Catholics why Mass is essential.
That obligation is there for a very good reason, to make sure that we do what is best for us. And what will bestow on us really our identity, Catholics, right, is setting aside that time to worship Him.
Mark Irons, EWTN News In Depth.